Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. First off, I want to apologise for this background. We're in the middle of renovating our house, and so we've stripped all the walls, and as you can see I've left a little square around the whiteboard so that it's a bit easier for teaching and posting other videos on YouTube. I've literally not got a space in the house where there's not sort of paper that's been ripped off the wall, so I've just got to accept that this is how it looks at the moment. But today I wanted to talk to you about my experience of visiting and seeing Mother Meera. So if you're not aware, Mother Meera is what is known as an avatar. And an avatar is a Sanskrit word that basically means descent. And descent, what that represents is actually the divine descending into human form in order to help humanity elevate their level of consciousness. So, for instance, Jesus was considered an avatar. The Virgin Mary was considered an avatar. Mother Meera, who is alive and kicking at the moment, she's considered a divine incarnation of, an incarnation of the Divine Mother. So she is what's known as an avatar. So it's incredible. And she's here because primarily, in her words, she's bringing down the Paramatman light, which is, I think, beyond human conception as to what that really means. But in a simple way of putting it, she's bringing down light that is enabling transformation to mankind and allowing us to progress in a spiritual manner. So she's been around. I mean, I don't actually know how old she is now. If I was guessing, she's got to be in like her late 60s, maybe older. I don't know. She's definitely getting on now. But she's been doing what is called darshan, and darshan is basically seeing in person the divine in human form. So being around an avatar is considered a form of darshan. But she would do these personal individual darshans where you would walk up onto the stage, you kneel down in front of her. If you want to, you can put your hands on her feet, and she puts her fingers on your temples for maybe 20 seconds, and then when she lets go, you look up into her eyes for probably about 10 seconds or so. And then when she looks away, that's your darshan over, and you stand up and walk off of the stage. And in her she's got a couple of books. One's called Answers 1 and the other one's called Answers 2, nice and simple. And in those books, in one of those books, she talks about what she actually does when she's doing that darshan. And she talks about the fact that there are two very tiny lines that go up the back of a human being. I believe they start at the feet actually and work their way all the way up, and these knots become tangled. And these strands become knotty and tangled up. And so her work is actually in the untangling of that. And I think she said that this is work that can only be done by an avatar. It's not something that a human being can do. So she's doing very important work, and it's all in silence, which is, I really love that. And often people will go to Mother Meera's darshans, or they'll visit her and they'll say, oh, she just sat up on stage and didn't do anything. What a complete waste of time. And what they don't appreciate, I think, is that, and I mean this just in it, like with the greatest of respect, I was fortunate enough to have a teacher tell me this, but what I think they don't appreciate is the fact that because she's an avatar, she doesn't just work on the physical, she's working on all dimensions. So although her physical body is not doing anything, and physically she's quiet, she's working on these other subtle levels and helping you, and whatever else she's doing, untangling knots, purifying you, healing you, doing different work that we can't comprehend as human beings because we can't perceive it, we don't understand it. But there's lots going on. And this is known by many people that go to visit her based on the experiences that they have. There are endless stories of people going to visit Mother Meera, seeing her on stage and seeing bright white light around her, or seeing bright golden light just appear out of nowhere behind her. There's endless stories of people with incredible experiences like this, which just make it impossible to deny the power that she, I suppose, is, the power that an avatar holds. It's impossible for us to really comprehend, as I say, because really what we're trying to do is, if we do try to comprehend it, is we're using our finite, limited human mind to try and comprehend something that is infinite. It's just impossible to do. So I think what she teaches us through this silence is that we need to stop the thinking. The thinking is the thing that actually limits us. The trying to understand something intellectually can become a limiter rather than a mechanism for learning and growth. It can only take you so far, and at some stage you have to give that up and say, I don't know. I just want you. I don't want to know anything, any other theoretical aspect of the divine. I just want to experience you. And I think then the journey takes that kind of direction. Anyway, I'm veering off track. I wanted to make this video about my experience because I recently went and saw Mother Meera in London. I can't remember what the date is today. I think it's the 2nd of September. So it was last Tuesday that I went to go and see her in person in London. And I've been to see Mother Meera now 4 or 5 times over probably the last 10 years. So it's not a new experience, but each one has been so far away from the other that it feels quite fresh each time. It's always been a couple of years, and obviously the last one, excuse me, would have been pre-COVID. So it feels like it's been a while. It's been like it's probably been 5 years since I last saw her. Maybe the other 3 or 4 visits or times that I've seen her were maybe like a year to 2 years apart. This time feels like a really long time, and it also feels like I personally have had the greatest growth in that time. I guess naturally it's a lot longer, but I've definitely elevated significantly from the last time I went to visit her. And a few people have asked me, oh, how was your experience of seeing her? And it's difficult to comprehend. You're quite literally seeing the divine in front of you in human form. And many people will listen to this and say, well, everyone's the divine in human form. They are and they aren't. They are on the absolute level, but on the relative level, they're not, because it's veiled in illusion. It's veiled in ego. And so you're not seeing the purity of the divine. Whereas when you visit or speak to an avatar, and as many of you know, my direct teacher is an avatar, you're speaking directly to the divine, because there's not this veil of ego. There's not this veil of self-interest. There's no veil whatsoever. It's purity that you're talking to. It's absolute truth. And what you receive back from them is absolute truth. And someone actually, a student of mine not so long ago, he said, oh, could I, and it was quite funny, he's a great guy, he was saying like, could I think of a number and then you ask your teacher what the number was I was thinking of? And it made me reflect and think, I've never done that with my teacher. I've never done anything like that, trying to almost prove who he is. And I know why. It's because when you're speaking to an avatar, genuine avatar, there's an absolute knowing beyond any need to have some sort of proof like that. There's just a knowing. There's no veil. You can see directly to them, through them. It's the most, it's again, you can tell that I'm struggling to articulate. It's impossible to articulate. But you're not talking to a human being, you're talking directly to the divine, and you can feel that. You know that that's the truth. You know, when you watch a video sometime, if you watch like 10 videos on YouTube, you'll be able to feel the ones that are coming directly from the person's heart. You know, you can just feel the truth. You can feel the honesty and the sincerity in their words. Whereas you'll watch one where you can feel that it's veiled, it's impure somehow. You might not be able to know why, but you can just feel it's not coming from their heart. Well, when you speak to an avatar, every word feels pure. And to be fair, you get it in books. If you read books from, like I feel that strongly when I read Mother Meera's book, or books. When I've read other text that has come directly from an avatar, or discourses that have been transcribed, when I've read them, I can feel the divinity in the words. And that might be something that you've experienced as well. But anyway, with my particular experience with Mother Meera this time round, I sat down. So you basically walk into a big hall. There's a stage, but it's very modest. It doesn't make it, it's not like she's sitting on some sort of, some crown on her head and really egotistical. It's just it's a stage so that everyone could see her. And then we're all sat down on chairs. And I could see right through the gaps of people's heads, because everyone was sitting there meditating. Lasts around an hour and a half. So I could see right through the gaps of everyone's head, and I could see directly to her face. And the only way that I could describe the whole experience of the event is that I felt closer to God, to the divine. It was as though the gap had closed somewhat. Although there's no gap, the gap being me being the barrier, I suppose, the part of me that creates the gap had, for that period of time, reduced a bit. And so I felt closer. I felt this strong connection with the divine, and it was beyond words. And I even thought about it for a good half an hour after, because I thought I'd love to make a video about this. And then I was thinking, how the hell am I going to describe this? It's beyond words. How can I make a video about it? I can't articulate it. And I'm not suggesting, by the way, that I suddenly became enlightened or anything like that, but it was a profound shift in my consciousness that is beyond words. And when I was younger and I used to hear teachers talk about this, I'd hear the Shivapuri Baba, for example, who I've spoken about a lot. He would talk about when he became fully realized, and he said it happened in a flash, and he said it's beyond words. And Mother Meera said the same about seeing Paramount Man. She said, I can't describe it in words. And I've always been like, surely you can, just try, just put some words together and sort of get it as close as possible. But I can't with this. I genuinely can't. It's just, I understand what they were saying now. And I'm sure their experience is a much greater, much more extreme version of that. But even the expansion that I felt, and the experience I had of being with Mother Meera on this particular occasion in meditation, it was beyond words. But I felt expanded. I felt lighter but expanded. I felt formless but big. It's just, you see how ridiculous this is for me to articulate. I just can't put the words together. But it was profound, and I know that every time I've left one of these meetings with Mother Meera, I've always felt different after. Something has changed or shifted. And that was definitely the case in this particular meeting, this particular meditation. So we meditated for about an hour and a half, something like that. And this time round, because for whatever reason, she's not doing the personal darshans at the moment, where you go up onto the stage, as I said before, and you put your hands at her feet and that kind of thing. She's not doing those at the moment. So it was purely a meditation for an hour and a half. So the people that always complain about her being silent probably would have had even more to complain about this time, because there wasn't the personal darshan. So it made it even more of a simple event. We turned up, meditated together for an hour, and then left. I understand the power of that, just doing that. But many people who don't appreciate what an avatar is, it must just feel ridiculous. In fact, I remember telling my girlfriend about the process and saying, I'm going to go and meet Mother Meera. And because I've got pictures of Mother Meera where I meditate and things like that, my girlfriend's familiar with her, although she doesn't meditate herself and she has no understanding of avatars and doesn't care about spirituality at all. So it's kind of hard to explain to her. And she was saying, so what happens then when you go to see Mother Meera? And I said, well, we'll just sit in a hall and meditate together. And she said, oh, does she speak? And I said, no. How are you supposed to explain this in a way that makes sense? I couldn't. But she kind of said, oh, well, fair enough. And how much are you paying for this? And I said, well, nothing. So that kind of evened things out a little bit, I think, in her head. But it's impossible to explain. And really, I think with this video, I wanted to just talk about the experience. I felt more drawn to just talk about it, even though it's probably making absolutely no sense and I'm rambling. But I feel like I want to encourage you to go to see Mother Meera. And if that's not possible for you, then understand that even if you've got her books, one of her books, you can actually just put the book in front of you and look directly into her eyes. Because she's an avatar, that divine vibration is contained even within the picture. And I know this sounds crazy, but if you have to remember that everything is energy, frequency, vibration, there's nothing that's not. And so the picture of an avatar contains the divine vibration. So you can actually have a form of darshan just by looking at Mother Meera's picture. And so I'd really, really encourage you to do that if you're not able to attend her live darshans. But if you can, I would highly recommend it, and really go into it with this open mind and try and see what you can draw from it, see what the experience brings about. But it's transformative. the beauty of it is free, so you don't need to pay anything for this experience. You just turn up and go, go experience the divine for yourself. Many people have many transformative, I suppose, outcomes that occur after this, and it might not necessarily be in the moment. It might be later on down the line. You feel different, you feel expanded, you feel something has changed. But for me, when I was doing the meditation and I was feeling this expanded state, I came out of the meditation, opened up my eyes, and as I looked up at Mother Meera, and my ego obviously wanted to get involved in this, but I made sure to keep it out of the way. I opened my eyes and Mother Meera was looking directly, and the lady that I was sat next to confirmed this as well, because she said when I got out of the meditation and looked, this happened to her, was looking directly into my eyes and into the two people beside me's eyes. I could just see it, and I just looked straight through, and we were sat to the right, so the hall's here, we were over here, and obviously Mother Meera's in the middle. And I opened my eyes and looked, and she was looking directly at me, and I just maintained the stare for, gaze probably is a better way of saying it, for maybe 30 seconds, and then eventually I could see her start to work her way around and observe everyone else in the room. And as she's doing this, she's probably healing parts of us that we don't even know exist. So there's all sorts of things going on, but it's all going on a subtle level. And also the beauty of it, I'm encouraging you to get the book, and I'm encouraging you to go to Mother Meera in person. But Mother Meera is operating on all planes, and so there's not actually an absolute need to go and see her in person. It does somehow bring about a different experience, for sure. But if that's not possible for you, or if you don't want to, just be with her in your mind. Just repeat her name. Just ask for her help, ask for her guidance, and you'll feel something. Yeah, I'm sure of it. You'll feel different. Things will change. If that faith is there and you feel that simple belief, then follow that. I'm sure it will help you. But I'm going to leave it at that for now. I know I've rambled, but I just felt like I wanted to share this. So I'm sure there'll be one or two people that this resonates with. But I'll leave it at that for now. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.